Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to Tekkit. And here we are, trying to wait for the assembly table to finish. Assembly table has now finished. So I've put forward quite a lot of the bits and bobs that I need within the assembly table, just so that I have it available to me. We started by making some redstone chipsets. Now to get the gates, all you need to do is put the redstone chipset back in the table, and then you've got the gate. I've also had a look at producing some of the advanced chipsets. And I also had a look at producing some wire. So the wire was what was the wire? The wire was redstone and some color, because the wire might be useful. I'm trying to work out how to use the wire to turn things on. So we get some wire, and they are very quick to produce, or should be, if we have power. We do have enough power, a little bit of power. So look at our lasers. So we don't have enough power to power the lasers, which is a problem. But we'll get some more of that wire, no doubt, at some point in the future. So what we are needing to do is have a look at these gates, because we want to be able to protect ourselves from explosions when the engines risk overheating. So I know one of the reasons why. Oh, we've got nearly full power. Why is that not draining any fuel? I'm guessing there's a glitch on the graphics, and it is draining the fuel, but it's just not showing it to me. Weird. I have shut down one of my engines deliberately. I've shut down one of my engines deliberately so that I can demonstrate how this works. So this engine over here is currently on low water. Now there's a problem with the pumping system. So what I've done to try and correct that is, rather than having two outputs from one tank, I've now got two separate tanks with water being pumped into them, which should then give me what I need. Now if I understand this correctly, all I need to do is put this on here like this, and then tell this, by selecting the right setup, when the engine's on green, to output a redstone signal. And that now means that I can switch this off and it will continue to work. Yes. So now if the engine ever overheats, it will shut itself down. So I just take this piece of redstone from here, because I forgot to bring one, and switch this engine on. That should then start to power up. If I throw another gate onto here and click this one, so again, when it is green, outputs a redstone signal. So this engine should start to heat up, and once it's heated up, better turn this off. No, turn that on. Sorry. Oops, that was a mistake. Oh, I pulled this up. Bugger. Oh, my demonstration is going to have failed because I messed it up. We'll turn it off and give it a chance to reset whatever it needs to do while it's doing that. Oops, I'll quickly run and get some redstone. Nice, you built those wires while I was gone. So what I'd like to be able to do with these particular gates is be able to control the engines from a remote distance. So the wire that we were looking at creating is pipe wire, so it runs along the pipe. There we go. So it runs along the pipe. So I should logically be able to run wire all the way to another gate that I can put here, and then tell that gate that if it receives a redstone signal, it will do something. So for example, I can maybe put a wire to the gate, and then if the engine is blue, for example, because the problem with this is, if the engine ever turns orange, this will shut the engine down, but it won't ever turn it back on again. So I need to use one of the OR gates, perhaps, so that if the engine is blue, it will turn a redstone signal on, or if the redstone is green, it will turn a redstone signal on. And that way, it will keep the engine running on and off. So if it ever runs off, if it runs to orange, it will turn itself off. When it cools down, it will turn itself back on again. So that's the logical, obviously, sequence of events that I'd like in the long term, is to have this particular engine room entirely self-sufficient. So I'd like to add perhaps another 2 engines just to this area here. So I need to replace all of this with more obsidian to protect the world around me. That if I ever need it, I can have obviously 4 engines running at once. Now I do need to learn how to store power, because obviously there is going to be a situation where I'm going to be producing more power than I can use. So at the moment I'm only producing power as is, and although a little bit of it is being stored in my machines, for the most part I don't have enough power. I'm producing more power than I need, but in order to run things like the assembly table most effectively, I need huge amounts of power. So I need really to get those properly sorted out. Now this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would to heat up. So I will, for the purpose of this video, I will pause the capture here, and I will bring you back in when the engine is green. Okay, here we are, back. It's taken the longest time in the world for this engine to start to heat up, but here we are. So the engine is now draining water, so soon it's going to start turning orange. It's going to have no water to cool it down. And hopefully, when it turns orange, what should happen is the gate will turn the engine off. So therefore it can't explode. So there you go, turned orange only for 1/10 of a second, but then the gate turned the engine off. Once you turn an engine off, it won't turn itself back on again until it's gone all the way through its different stages and cooled right down to blue. So as you can see here, what we've done is we have massively improved the safety measures of my engines. But we don't obviously want to have to keep coming back here and dealing with it. So if we put another gate here, which tells me that the engine is blue and will turn on a redstone signal, that will then turn the engine back on again. Well, that's the theory anyway. But in order to cool that engine down, we need to pump some water into it so we can turn that on. So that should then allow the engine to cool down and the whole process to completely automate itself, which is unbelievably awesome. And I am very impressed with this addition. So I think it's new to Buildcraft 3 or something. Well, obviously we're on Buildcraft 3 point something now, but this wasn't in the original version of Buildcraft that I created any or many of my Tekkit constructions in the past. So this is new to me, and it's cool. I really like this concept. Obviously, the start of the previous episode, when we identified the fact that my engine system or my engine setup had failed and it had entirely destroyed my power station, this should now prevent that from happening. So I have 2 logic gates, one that keeps the engines running and turns them off if they get too hot, and one that turns them on again if they or when they cool down. So this is starting to fill up with water again. So can we speed this process along by fixing it? I don't really understand this. You fix the steam engines or the Stirling engines with the wrench by clicking on them, but it doesn't seem to work on the combustion engines. Clearly the heating process for those is as is. You have to wait for it to happen. Obviously I'd quite like to see it happen, but we will we'll come back in a moment because I want to have a look at the pumps that I've got to show you those. So there is a new pipe. Just check there's no enemies, which is called a water pump pipe, which you can just directly drop into the water and it will suck out 1 bucket a tick or something. I think is the speed that it does it at. So that 1 bucket a tick isn't enough. So I've got 3 of these manual pumps pumping together to keep 1 tank full of water. Now those 3 pumps together weren't enough to keep the 2 engines cool. So that was the reason why the original one failed, was because this combination of pumps wasn't enough. So I've added in a more, that's going to explode, so let's take that away. I've added in a classic Buildcraft pump to pump some water through, and that's now keeping the second tank full. So I have 2 different setups that I'm experimenting to see which is more efficient at keeping a single engine running. At the moment they both seem to be doing just fine, but obviously one of my engines wasn't technically running before. So that's blue, that's gone red, so that means hopefully when this has finished cooling down properly, the engine will turn itself back on again. That is the theory, anyway. So we'll just have to, again, fingers crossed, hope that this does what it's supposed to do. And this combination of 3 gates should now perpetually keep my my engines ticking over. And therefore we should always have power, which means we can always make fuel, which means we can always obviously power more stuff, things. Ideally, this would happen now, so that I don't have to sit here for ages. I don't want to miss the switch on, which is the thing. Obviously, there's no point in me coming back and just showing you it working. That's pointless. I want to try and show you it actually turning itself on, and in that case, fixing and giving me the confidence that this is all now automated. Well, while we're waiting for that, I'll just dig these out ready for replacements. Come on, engine. No, not gonna play. There we go. Well, hey. So the engine has turned itself back on again, exactly as I wanted it to, starting to produce more power. And hopefully when it turns green, that will obviously kick in as well. And then it will maintain itself. That's brilliant. That's perfect. So while it's now powering up, we can have a look at what I've got trying to set up here. So this is the pipe wire. And the pipe wire is designed to run along the edge of the pipe. And then you can take signal from one gate. So you can tell this to, obviously when there's space for liquid, I want it to turn on a redstone signal. So when, can we make it more? Full tank, liquid in tank. So that turns on a redstone signal, which I would then like it to turn on the pump, but I've not been able to work out which is the right one. So that's currently on. So it's not that one. 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 Is it that one? Output a redstone signal. Oh hey! So there. Will it? Oh no, it's gone. That's not quite right. Oops, that's definitely what I wanted to do. No energy. No energy. Energy stored. Can be stored. Full energy. Blue, green, yellow, red. Nothing. So how do I get signal from liquid is transversing, redstone signal. So I've done something wrong with that wire. Whoops. So the wiring is the new thing for me. I'm not quite sure what the protocol is. So that's definitely not connected to that, is it? So I definitely need one more wire. But how do I tell it to receive? When you receive a signal, well, it's doing the wrong thing, but so when that's turned on, I don't need the wires for that, do I? No energy, engine. I don't really understand how I'm supposed to. Oh, hey, what was that? So why isn't that not working? Because that should be sending a redstone signal. That sends a redstone signal down there to that, and that receives it, and it turns that on. That's what I want it to do. That's the logic behind it. But that's not working. We can have it. What tank is that referencing? I'll have to come back to that because I don't really understand why that's not working. I need to do some more research clearly. But that's the lovely AND gates that we can, the lovely assembly gates or whatever they're called, that we can now use to power our entire everything. So we should now have plenty of power that can be created and used. So we will have a look at these wires, because I'd quite like to be able to turn all 4 of these on with a switch, maybe on the wall just here, so that if I ever need a burst of power, I can have each of these engines ready with, I don't know, some coal or charcoal or even just some wood. I think they've got wood at the moment, nothing at the moment. And then if I need a burst of power for 5 minutes because I want to get some building done quickly, I can just bang on these extra engines. So that's the next mission, is to try and work out how these wires work so that I can trigger an engine to turn on or off. Alright, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I am still loving playing Tekkit. It's one of my most favourite things in the world. I've got a zombie kicking my door down as I go to sleep, which is always nice. Quite a few birds with it. Chicken. Get my garden. And then, yeah, I will continue to improve my world and start to automate everything that exists in the next episode. Okay, well, thanks for watching, as ever. If I can spell that properly, I'll try again. Thanks for watching, as ever. I hope you're enjoying, and let's see what the quarry's doing. Oh, the quarry's stopped. Means we're out of fuel, have we? Yeah, we've got cobblestone in there again. Well, I need to sort that out, don't I? So I'll do that offline, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, guys.